Hello, boys and girls. This is Grandma Priscilla again, and I have another story for you. I hope you're all settled in and ready for bed and ready to listen to the story. This one's called No Hunting, and it's about some little rabbits. Mr. Rabbit opened his eyes and gave a big yawn. He thought it seemed like the perfect day for going outside and nibbling some of the farmer's lettuces. And after that, he thought he would go and see how well the farmer's carrots were growing and maybe have a little nibble on those as well. He popped his head out of his burrow and looked this way and that way in case he saw any danger. Then he pricked up his ears and turned this way and that in case he heard any danger. Finally, he sniffed the air this way and that in case he smelled any danger. It seemed safe, so he hopped out of his burrow. No sooner had he gone a couple of steps when zing! A bullet whizzed past his head. Mr. Rabbit jumped back into his burrow as fast as he could go, shaking with fright. "Goodness, it's rabbit hunting season," he gasped. He gathered his family of young rabbits around him and spoke to them. "Now, children, listen very carefully," he said. "The rabbit hunting season has begun, so you must all stay safely inside the burrow until it's over. I will go out at night and forage for food for all of us." His children looked at him in dismay. "But it's lovely and sunny outside," they cried all together. "We'll be very careful." But Mr. Rabbit was having none of it. He insisted that they all stay underground until the rabbit season was over. For a few days the young rabbits amused themselves as best they could by playing chase and hide and seek, but they were becoming very bored. Finally, they decided that they were going to do something to stop the rabbit hunting themselves. First, Tom, the eldest of Mr. Rabbit's children, decided he would try to stop the hunters. So when it was dark, he crept out of the burrow and made his way towards the hunter's hut. Although it was night and he was sure the hunters would be asleep, he was still very scared. Soon he came to the hut. It was standing in a clearing in the woods. It was dark inside the hut, and he hoped the hunters were asleep. "If I can dig some big holes," he thought, "maybe they will fall into them in the morning and won't be able to get out until the hunting season is over." So he dug and he dug, like he had never dug before. Soon there were holes everywhere, right outside the door to the hunter's hut. Feeling very pleased with himself, but also very tired, Tom made his way back to the burrow just before it was light. When the hunters awoke, they went straight out without falling down on a single hole. Poor Tom, he had dug all those holes all right, but the hunter's hut had two doors, and the hunters had simply gone out the other one. Then Jenny, the second oldest of Mr. Rabbit's children, decided that she would try to stop the hunters. So when it was dark, she crept out of the burrow and made her way towards the hunter's hut. When she got there, she noticed that the window was open, and so she decided to go inside. She too was very scared, but she thought about having to spend all those days in the burrow until the hunting season was over, and that gave her the courage to carry on. Inside the hut, she could see the hunters sleeping in their beds. She looked around, wondering what she could do to stop them hunting. Then suddenly she saw the hunter's clothes lying on a chair. Quick as a flash, she hopped up to them and started nibbling at them. In no time at all, the clothes were in shreds. "That'll stop them," thought Jenny. "They can't hunt without their clothes on." Satisfied with her night's work, Jenny made her way back to the burrow just as dawn was breaking. When the hunters awoke, they got... When the hunters awoke, they got up and went out to hunt. Poor Jenny, she had chewed some clothes all right, but she'd only chewed some spare clothes. The hunters had gone to bed wearing their old other clothes in order to get out quickly in the morning. Finally, Penelope, the youngest of Mr. Rabbit's children, said she would try to stop the hunters. "Don't be silly," said Tom to his sister. "You're far too young to be going out at night." "And anyway," said Jenny, "what could you possibly think of doing to those hunters to stop them?" "I'll think of something," said Penelope, who was really quite a clever little rabbit. So that night she crept out of the burrow and made her way to the hunter's hut. The window was open just as before, and so Penelope hopped inside. She looked at the floor, she looked in the cupboard, she looked under the beds, but she couldn't think of anything to stop the hunters. Then she looked up and suddenly had an idea, for there on the table was a calendar showing that very day's date. Penelope hopped onto the table and started to turn the pages. Finally, she came to a page on the calendar that read, Rabbit hunting season ends today. Satisfied with her work, Penelope hopped out of the hunter's hut and back home to her burrow. In the morning, the hunters woke up, rubbed their eyes, and got out of their beds. One of them glanced at the calendar. "Oh no," he suddenly exclaimed. "Look at the date. The rabbit hunting season is over." With that, the hunters, who were too silly to realize that someone else must have turned over the pages of the calendar, packed their belongings and went home. All was peace and quiet once more, and the rabbits could hop about in the open air in safety.